Hi, and welcome back once again to your Autism Game Plan. I'm Joya Vanderlaan, a family nurse practitioner, a functional medicine specialist, and an autism mom. Our daughter is now 10 years old. She just had a birthday. And so we've been dealing with autism and medical treatments, biomedical treatments of autism now for 7 years. And I have been dealing professionally as a nurse practitioner with this for just about as long, if not longer. So today we're going to be talking about speech delay in children with autism. I've been getting a lot of emails and comments on the website about how do I help my child with a speech delay. And if you're watching this video, it's probably not a surprise to you that 40% of children with autism are considered nonverbal. They don't communicate verbally. We want to help our kids, and whether that means helping them to speak at some point, use verbal communication, or whether that's helping them to use a different form of communication, like some sort of communication device. Those are available out there as well. All of our kids deserve the chance to communicate. And I'm here today to talk about more medical or biomedical interventions that we can use to help our kids. When I think about helping kids with speech delay, I think about two ways that we can go about doing things. One would be the therapeutic approach. We do speech therapy, we read to them, we speak to them, we model for them, all of those kinds of things. And on the other hand, we have a more medical approach, or biomedical, maybe a functional medicine approach. The two are definitely not exclusive. I in no way am saying go the biomedical route and you will not even need speech therapy. That is not what I'm saying. But the biomedical therapy can be so valuable in making that speech therapy part even more effective and getting your child further than they may with speech therapy alone. So what are some of the medical issues, these biomedical issues, that can cause a speech delay in our children, or worsen a speech delay, or prevent them from progressing in their speech? Well, the first thing is mitochondrial functioning. And you've heard me talk about this before if you've watched my other videos. The mitochondria are little organelles inside of our cells that are responsible for lots of things, but for energy production and for, how energy gets made and gets used by our cells. Of course, energy is needed to do things like speak, both from a brain function perspective, but also from a tongue and muscle perspective, right? If our tongue and our lips and our mouths aren't properly strong, the muscles aren't strong and given enough energy, speech is going to be very difficult. Now, the fact that mitochondria are coming up again just helps me point out once again that mitochondrial functioning, especially when we're thinking about our autistic kids, is super, super important to look at and to support. The other very common reason for speech delay in autistic children is called cerebral folate deficiency, CFE. And basically what that means is that the folate is deficient in the brain, and it has trouble getting into the brain because it has trouble passing through our blood-brain barrier. Now, certain things can affect this. Dairy is actually one of them. There are certain studies that show that dairy casein blocks the folate from getting up into the brain where it's really, really necessary. And one of the symptoms of cerebral folate deficiency is a speech delay. And so we want to make sure that we're thinking about, is our child receiving proper doses, adequate doses of folate? On typical bottles of folate or folic acid, you'll see very, very low doses. What's required for our kids with cerebral folate deficiency are much, much higher doses, often even requiring a prescription. But in the meantime, if you don't have a prescription for it, then in the meantime, getting at least a little bit, a better amount than would be in, for instance, fortified cereals or a general multivitamin. You want to make sure you're getting more of it in your child's diet because they very likely need more. Certain supplements can be really helpful for speech. We know this, we've seen this in many, many children who have struggled with speech. The first one I want to talk about is vitamin B12, methylcobalamin to be specific, or methyl B12. That's a methylated form of B12. Now, we've talked about methylation before. Methylation is super important for things like cognition, memory, behavior, mood, sleep, and speech. So we're looking here with the B12 to really improve methylation. Not only are we helping with that, then we're helping also with all these other things and all these other processes that are happening in the body that require methylation. So methylated B12 or methyl B12 is really what you're looking for. If you don't have access to the subcutaneous injection form of it, which does require a prescription, then you can use a sublingual form or under the tongue form, which would be something like a liquid or a lozenge. Folinic acid or folate is also really important for speech. And the reason for that, again, is because of its effect and help with methylation. It's also really important for the mitochondria. Remember those energy producers within our cells. You want to avoid folic acid, which most of us have heard of. It's in a lot of our foods, cereals, rices, pastas, flours. So baking flour is very often fortified with folic acid. We don't want that. We want to avoid that. That actually blocks the receptors from using and benefiting from natural activated forms like folate or folinic acid. So make sure that you are getting the folate, the activated folate, and not folic acid in these supplements. The nice thing is too, very often you'll find B12 and folate in the same supplement. And so it doesn't require giving your child yet another supplement. Usually you can find them in combination, particularly if you're looking at methylation combinations or mitochondrial cocktails. You'll find good doses of both of those in there. Fish oils are another thing that can be hugely beneficial to our kids with speech impairment. Fish oils not only decrease inflammation, which can be a major cause of a lot of symptoms, but speech delay certainly. Fish oils also help just provide fat, healthy fats to nourish the brain. Our brain is made up of a lot of fat. And so in order to maintain brain mass and continue that building and regeneration, our kids really need good levels of fatty acids, including those found in fish oils like EPA and DHA. So inflammation and those healthy fats for the brain are a really good reason to think about giving your child some fish oil supplements. Carnitine, CoQ10, B6, magnesium, all these are really, really important for mitochondrial functioning. And once again, we're looking at mitochondrial functioning when it comes to help with our kids with speech impairments or speech delays. These nutrients are very easy to find in almost any combination that's labeled mitochondrial support or mitochondrial formula. Two of my most favorites for kids, well, and for adults too, actually, are called MitoVive, and Metagenics makes that one, and then MitoCore by Orthomolecular. Both of them are powders. The MitoCore powder actually has protein and some additional multivitamin type benefits to it. Both taste very good. I've had only the occasional patient tell me they just didn't like it, but for our kids, they're kind of orange flavored, almost fruity flavored, and so they mix well with a lot of different things. And they have all kinds of these different nutrients in them that are required for our mitochondria, which will not only help their speech, it will help a host of other things as well. It can be so frustrating to watch your child struggle with speech impairment or with communicating in general. Remember to be gentle with them, be gentle with yourself, and just start somewhere. Maybe it's going gluten-free for the week and seeing how that goes. Maybe then it's removing dairy. Maybe it's easier than you thought. You can keep going, keep chipping away, keep learning new things. I hope I'm providing you with new and interesting and helpful information on a weekly basis. I'm coming out with a course in a couple of months that will be very, very helpful for especially parents of newly diagnosed kids on the spectrum. And that's been in the works for a long, long time. And I'm just so excited to finally be able to get it out here pretty soon. Join our email list. That way you'll be the first to know all the new information that I'm putting out. And then also, of course, when this course comes out. So in the meantime, like I said, be gentle with yourself. You're doing a great job.